Thanks, Jane. Good evening from Spotlight. Devon's GPs on red alert again.
Hello, it's Dr Best at the surgery.
As doctors say they're facing relentless demand, we go behind the scenes at one surgery.
We've had nearly 50 calls this morning in the last couple of hours, and that doesn't even touch the number of calls that our reception team will have dealt with. They're just the ones that need to speak to us.
Also in the programme tonight, battling the blaze. Firefighters use seawater to help tackle a gorse fire on the Devon coast that just won't go out.
I'm at Hope Cove, where just over the headland at Bulbury Down, firefighters are still tackling a blaze that's been burning on and off now for 2 months.
In the inbox tonight, we hear from a patient at Derriford Hospital who was asked to move his car during antibody treatment and ended up with a parking ticket.
And as the Sale GP series returns to Plymouth, I'm out on the water with the teams getting in their final bit of practice before the weekend's racing.
Thanks for joining us tonight. For the third time in this month, Devon's GPs are on red alert. That means more than a third of practices say they could fail within 6 months unless they're given more support. Demand for consultations is also exceptionally high, particularly in West Devon. GPs there are supporting 4% of their patients. That's up from an average of 1.7% before the pandemic. That's the highest proportion ever recorded in the county. So what's causing the increase in demand? Well, in a moment, we'll ask a doctor who sits on the local medical committee. But first, this report from Ben Wolvin, who spent a day with a GP in Yelverton.
Thank you very much for watching.
GP Matt Best ending that report from Ben Wolvin. Well, NHS Devon says it's supported additional capacity with GP practices by providing £1.2 million in funding from May to July. Meanwhile, the government says it's funding a scheme to bring in doctors in hard-to-recruit areas, which includes 82 places in the southwest. Well, listening to all this is Dr Mark Sanford-Wood. Mark, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Are all GPs as busy as the one we've just seen?
How they're going to receive proper care.
If I could just interrupt there, Dr Sanford-Wood. The government saying it's putting money in. We hear the NHS locally is putting money in as well. So extra resources, we're told. What's the answer then if you're saying the system's broken?
Well, the answer,
Dr Sanford-Wood, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we are out of time this evening. But we do appreciate you talking to us tonight. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
In other news tonight, firefighters have continued to tackle a gorse fire at Bulbury Down, which has been burning on and off now for 2 months. The ground is so dry that the fire keeps reigniting even after it's been put out. Today, crews have been pumping 3,000 litres of water a minute out of the sea to try to douse the area. From Hope Cove, here's John Ayres. John Ayres reporting there. Health advice has been issued by Cornwall Council to urge people not to turn off their fridges as a way of bringing down household bills. Some food banks have reported that families are turning off appliances for short periods. They say it might seem like a money-saving measure, but fridges end up using more power to cool down again when they're switched back on. There's also a risk of food poisoning. The advice is to ask for help earlier if you're struggling.
Better approach, really, your bills.
The health watchdog, the CQC, says a Truro care home for autistic adults must make improvements urgently after inspectors deemed living conditions were clearly unacceptable. The residential home at St Erm has been rated as inadequate in 3 inspections in a row. It's run by Spectrum, which says the CQC report doesn't accurately reflect the level of care and support being provided. Now, lots of you have been getting in touch asking for help from Natalie on the inbox. So let's find out what she's been able to sort this week now.
Thanks very much indeed, Kirk. Email spotlight@bbc.co.uk. We'll do what we can, Kirk.
Thanks, Nat. Sport now, and there's something for everyone this weekend with the Commonwealth Games, the start of the football season and the return of the Sale GP series to Plymouth. It's looking absolutely stunning tonight, and Andy has been out on the water to see the boats in action. Andy.
Yes, Kirk, this is the final practice. And looking at how popular it was last year, I suggest you get in nice and early.
Great stuff. Now, if Sale GP, the Commonwealth Games and the return of local football wasn't enough to get you excited, the final of the Euros is this Sunday. England take on Germany, and Eve Watson is in Torquay with some Lioness supporters ahead of the big game. Eve.
Hi, Kirk. Yes, and go Lionesses. We're all behind you.
Brilliant. Great stuff, Eve. Thank you very much. And fingers crossed for Sunday. OK, finally, last week we heard from a woman in St Just who had worked at the Co-op for 50 years. This week we meet a lady who's been doing the same job for more than 6 decades. 75-year-old Ivy Bastard has been working at the village shop in St Tudy near Bodmin since she was 14. It's now a community shop, but she still volunteers there, and Johnny Rutherford has been to meet her.
How are you? I would like to still continue yet.
Well done, Ivy. What a legend. OK, David's here with the forecast. And, David, I know it's hard to predict longer term, but do we have any idea about whether we're going to get any rain in the next month or so?
I think we need rain, definitely, but the forecast is... Have a nice weekend. Kirk.
Great. Thank you very much for that, David. And thanks for all your emails that are coming in on GP services. And if you want to get in touch, you can email us spotlight@bbc.co.uk. That's it from us for now. Have a lovely evening. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.